On this episode of Artistic Off-Road, we take a 3-day journey back in time as we drive from the Mojave Desert to the Eastern Sierra to explore evidence of ancient life in Last Chance Canyon, petroglyphs outside of Lone Pine, and do a little off-roading and off-road recovery. Come along with us on this epic adventure, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.
We are in Last Chance Canyon in Red Rock State Park. It is springtime, the animals are out. We've seen some chukar and some jackrabbit, and I think an owl just flew out of a nest up there. Speaking of which, it is raptor breeding season. So we are gonna head down this canyon, check out these amazing salmon colored rocks. Check that out. If you look up on the cliffside over there, you'll see a nest, and in that nest is a great horned owl. So owls eat rabbits and rodents, and they'll even prey on skunks or crows. And because of their serene presence and those large yellow eyes, the great horned owl is often associated with the occult. And looking at this owl here, you can really feel the power of that animal. So this area here of Red Rock Canyon is part of the larger El Paso Mountains region, which was inhabited by the Kawaiisu people for millennia. And if you look closely, you'll see plenty of signs of their previous habitation. Let me show you an example. You'll notice there is a rock ring, a clear circular formation that could have been used as a fire pit or a burial ground. It's also important to note that in the early 1900s, there was a railroad that came up through this canyon, along with many, many mines. So it is possible that this was the fireplace of someone overnighting on their way up to a mining cabin.
Because of the exposed layers of earth, this area is also a treasure trove of paleontological fossils.
Another sign of ancient habitation that people lived here millennia ago is this rock right here, chert. This would have been used instead of obsidian in this area as a hard cutting tool. And you can notice, if you look really closely, that these flakes have been knapped or cut from a larger piece. Really quite fascinating to find these. It doesn't look that appetizing, but I guarantee you that is crucial to life out here in the desert for them. There are both prehistoric and historic artifacts in this part of Red Rock Canyon. Check out this pretty old fire ring, and there's something really kind of fascinating that we get to think about in this situation, and that is these pieces of wire. They were probably cut from a fence post, maybe for a corral or something like that. And I'm gonna guess that even people back in the early 1900s were sitting here overlooking the wash, enjoying the beautiful night sky, roasting marshmallows. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. They must have been having a pretty damn good time. This whole area actually is the remnants of the Cudahy camp. And this is where miners from the Dutch Cleanser mine would often stay. There's a regular source of water in the winter and spring, and it is a perfect jumping point to get over the hill to the Dutch Cleanser mine. Walking up the wash here outside of Cudahy camp, and we saw that really weird looking hole in the wall. We're gonna go up there and check out, see what it is. Whoa! What is this place? Weird. It's kind of like a cave, but it barely goes in. But it's full of water. Could this possibly be some kind of a spring? Maybe there's a drainage that holds this water for the miners here back in the day. Maybe there's some bats up on the ceiling. Hard to see, it's so dark. Really weird, but really, really cool. Wow, look at all this graffiti and scratchings from years past. So we have left Last Chance Canyon, but not without a stop at the old Dutch cleanser mine. Check these things out. How wild are these things? Someone once told me they look like catacombs. Yeah, catacombs for giants perhaps, but these are huge tunnels dug into the hillside here. Check that out. How wild. What a strange home. I have to imagine there's some bats living in the holes in here. The unintended consequences of a mining operation.
Day 2 started with an unexpected recovery as we were traveling up Whitney Portal Road. We came across this van that looked like it had been abandoned. Upon investigating, we noticed that the rear wheels were dug into the dirt. We must have been talking pretty loudly as the owner then emerged and asked us if we could help get him out. So of course we did. I got out my tow strap, and after hooking it up, all that was required was a small tug and the van was out.
Control joint.
Well, especially if we pull.
I should probably be on while we do this.
Definitely turn it on. Give it a little. That really didn't require any work.
From there, it was already time for a second cup of coffee, so we decided to stop by Cowboy Coffee in Independence, as we would need fuel for the rough road ahead.
When did you start it?
I started in May. I bought this in November. It was pretty much done.
Yeah.
I just had to finish it up.
So we have our treasure map out. This is an old pamphlet produced by some archaeologists that lists tons of petroglyph sites in the big pine area, basically. And so right now, today, we're going to be trying to find a site that we tried to find years ago, but never did. And we're using our treasure map here to locate it. Big time rock crawling. Craziness. This is the last one. I have never once felt the need to put my Jeep into 4-low. I've used 4-wheel drive many times, but not 4-low. There have been a number of moments on this trail here where without 4-low, I don't think we would have kept going. So it may have been a really rough road, but the end result is completely worth it. Check out this Shangri-La of a view here up in the Sierras. I know Mazorco. This is like rocky. All right, well, we hit a spot that we're just not willing to take. The road was super rutted, and I don't even know what's beyond there. There's a creek down there. It's probably all washed out. So we're just backing up. It's fun to try out your backward driving skills. It's actually easier than it looks. Just looking for a turnout. Here we go. So we're here at McMurray Meadows, and behind me are some of the most impressive features of the Sierra Nevada. Through that crevice right there, you have the Norman Clyde Glacier. It is one of, next to the Palisade Glacier, one of the southernmost glaciers in the United States. It's named after a dude named Norman Clyde, who was a school principal, I believe. I'm not sure if he was a teacher or a principal down in Independence, but he climbed all over these mountains and had a cabin just down the road here. He's a really amazing writer. I think part of the story with Norman Clyde for why he left the public education system was that he ended up threatening some unruly high school students with a gun. And I think after that moment, knew that the classroom and the school building was not for him. Rather, it was spending a lifetime in these mountains.
Norman Clyde then spent the next 30 years of his life making first descents in the Eastern Sierra, and some of his gear is memorialized at the Eastern California Museum in Independence.
So we didn't find our petroglyphs way up in those mountains over there that we were at, but I do see some on the side of the road here in this same area. So we're gonna go up to the spot up here. This is actually near another spot that I'll show you a little bit later on. Let's check these out. Pretty faded. You can kind of see this. Sun's not really hitting it in the right direction, but you can kind of see, it actually looks like someone put a D over this. There's just these lines that go straight down here. And then if we look over here, another interesting petroglyph right there. You got another one right up here. Look at that, like a circle with a cross through it. You can see down here there's another one. It's been really faded. Hard to see that. There's another one right here. Another circle with a line through it. What could it mean? They had a nice view here. There's another petroglyph right here, like about 4 circles with dots inside. I think the curvilinear style is an older style of petroglyph, maybe thousands of years old versus hundreds.
Oh, there's more over there.
Where?
On that flat rock over there.
Oh wow, check these out. This is an awesome panel of curvilinear style petroglyphs. Oh, so many of them here. Check this guy out over here. What? This one's clearly newer. These guys are clearly older, as they seem to have been repatinated, reclaimed by the desert varnish. Wow, check out this rock here full of lichen. This is clearly a spot people have used time and again. You have a pictograph like this right here, which is clearly newer. It's easier to see, much clearer. These ones a little bit less so. And then I'll show you one more that's almost impossible to see because the desert varnish has reclaimed it. So if you look right here, it's hard to see because the sun, angle of the sun, but that's how reclaimed this petroglyph is. Hundreds, probably thousands of years old, which tells us that the people who did these used this as a hunting spot time and time again, year after year, decade after decade, maybe even century after century. So there's even more evidence that the people who made those petroglyphs were sitting up here sharpening tools for hunting. If you look here on the ground, you'll notice this piece of obsidian right here. And then I was looking over here as well. This one's clearly been chipped to make some kind of cutting tool. In fact, this may have been a cutting tool itself. We're gonna look around and see if we can find some more. Of course, we're gonna leave these where we found them. So we are at one of the weirdest places that we have been to in the Eastern Sierra, and that is this strange old mine that is no longer in service. Not sure if it's part of the American Perlite Corp. It very well might be, because as you see here, it does say American company, and there is some perlite piles over here. But what a strange setup. We're at our last stop of the day. This is just about a half mile east of the spot that we were looking at before. This place has some really interesting features. For example, right here, you have what looks like some kind of a house pit somewhere out of the wind that people would have hunkered down in. It looks like you have some petroglyphs actually. It's really hard to see, and they're really old, carved on this rock right here. You can see right here, there's kind of like a rock wall to enclose the living quarters. We also have some pretty small obsidian chips that we found scattered around here. So obviously people were in here either making tools or using tools, and these chips were part of those. This rock right here has an old Mortero hole. You can see the rock here has been ground down, the light rim color. We have some more pieces of obsidian here. Here over here is a pretty good chunk. And over here we have some more really old petroglyphs. This is clearly some kind of a grinding stone here. You can see how this surface color has been worn away, but then if you look over there, you can see more of those curvilinear style petroglyphs on that rock. Very, very faded, very old. Rock shelter. There's a pretty good size Mortero right here. Pretty deep. Used obviously for a very long time. You also have these pock marks, these copules. Maybe the beginning of other Morteros, or maybe used to smooth down a hammer tool or something like that. So this area that we're currently at has a lot more petroglyphs, and we were looking around and noticed this really big Mortero hole. Check this out. Can you imagine someone sitting here overlooking this valley, grinding their pine nuts or Indian rice grass or whatever it was. If you look over here, some more petroglyphs. They're really everywhere. You even have a couple of small grinding holes here on this rock, and another really old scraped petroglyph on this one. So it just goes to show, if you look closely enough, what you might find. All right, today is day 3 of our Eastern Sierra Mojave adventure. We are on our way home, currently walking through some barbed wire and sagebrush, and we're gonna go find some pictographs somewhere over there. I think this one we're actually gonna be able to find. So I know we're already in the right place, because if you look on the ground here, there are tons of pieces of obsidian. So clearly people were out here making tools, using tools, hunting. Check this out. Let's see this pile you found. Wow, look at this. Almost looks like that was in the line to be an arrowhead. Different kinds of obsidian too. This is a grayer type. Really cool. I've already found so many arrow points. This one particularly is of a different style than you might expect, but if you look at these, they've clearly been chiseled into an arrowhead formation. Really fascinating to find these. We're going to make sure that we scatter them, leave them where we found them. But how fascinating. So even though we came across a lot of obsidian that probably was used as some kind of chisel points, we did end up finding an actual arrowhead, a very small point here. You notice the serrated edges, the pointed top, the flat bottom. You'll notice there's a notch on this one. This notch either got broken off or was never created. Maybe they didn't need it. But wow, how cool to find this. Feels so special. But of course, we're gonna leave this somewhere so that way someone else can find it and leave the spirit of the arrowhead where it belongs. So we are just about at our pictograph rock, but I want to show you a few Morteros on this rock right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 different grinding stones on this rock. So we're just above the creek here. People would have hung out up here, made their homes, ground their food, gone down the creek to get water. What a special place. So there is the rock right there that we want to check out, and you can actually already see the pictographs on the rock. They must not be that old because that is not a sheltered rock, so obviously it gets hit by wind and rain and sun and snow. So they won't be here forever. It's like a lizard. Arms, body. It looks like a centipede. Look at all these little legs coming off the side. This tall one right there, the arms coming out. These are definitely pretty faded. You can see the water has pooled the paint down the rock face here. There's one down here. Almost indiscernible at this point. So this area here must have been a prime hunting spot. You could imagine hunters sitting up on those rocks there, hiding as the deer came up along this wash or along this creek. And then all of a sudden, when they saw them, they took their spears and shot them and attacked them. We already found, this is our second arrowhead point. Again, similar structure, the serrated edges, pretty neat. So it is lunchtime. We found some shade here against this rock with an amazing view out in that direction. Enjoying a little Trader Joe's potato salad. Bon appetit. Nothing better than sitting in an ancient land amongst some ancient boulders with some ancient pictographs, drinking a beer. Hallelujah! This is the life. So I have a theory here. If you notice, these anthropomorphic figures look half human, half animal. And I think my theory is that maybe the people who created these felt that by eating the animal that's represented, that they would somehow embody the spirit of the animal.